Hey, welcome back to Say You Look Tired with me, Martin, my co-host Dan.
Hi.
Yeah, episode 7 this will be, which is insane. But we're just really appreciating everyone who's supporting it, downloading it, giving us a review. If you're listening now, just stop, stick 5 stars, whether it's Apple, whether it's Spotify, leave a little comment, leave a little review. We'd appreciate it massively. And it's something you actually touched on at the end of the last episode, which we'll pretend we didn't record like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. 5 minutes ago, we said previously.
But you said like those little reviews, those little comments, even though it helps it grow massively, even if it just means that it gets that little bit of a boost, that someone else will see it that might see it, could make like a massive impact on that trajectory of someone else.
It can change their life.
Just by, not that it is an amazing podcast.
It is.
But not by that, but I'm a big believer in like, you'll hear one little thing and that can just change everything for you. And that to me is the big one. So if you do like it, if you subscribe, that's amazing. If you can review it, that'd be fantastic. Even if it's just to put the 5 stars, even if you don't want to put any writing.
It takes seconds.
Yeah, seconds.
To do it.
And Dan's come down like what? What is it, 2.5 hours?
Yes, I got on the train at Leicester City Centre. Fabulous train. Got on there 2.5 hours. It flew in actually. I was on my phone doing work, not scrolling. And because I brought my laptop to do work, but I couldn't be bothered to get out of my bag. So I just used my phone because Google Drive's on there.
That sounds exactly
Canva
like
is on there.
Every weekend for me, which was bring all the books home in a big bag on Friday, leave them in the corner of the room, take them back in on Monday morning.
I called it the Martin karaoke. Bring them home and bring them back. Did you ever have one of those trawlers that people have? I didn't go that far.
No, because I was really getting into my fitness at that point as well. So like carrying them was another good one.
Oh, that's good.
Farmer's walks all the way back.
When I first started, we had books, and we still had books in early years, and it was just a book that everything went in. And one night we were going out on the Friday just to the local pub near our school, and I had to bring my books with me to Mark. So I brought them with me to the pub, and then we had drinks, and then we got a taxi from the pub into town. But we had stayed there until 10 p.m. So I'm quite merry at this stage. We're getting out and the books spill all over it wasn't.
Why were the books out?
Because I went straight from school to the pub, lanyard off.
Yeah.
And then went straight from the pub to go home. But I had the books with me the entire time because I'd not been home yet.
Yeah, I get that. But what were they doing on the pub? Like spread out on the pub table?
No. They were in a taxi by this stage.
Okay.
And the cheap bag ripped. And the books went all over the taxi. And I was like, no. And I had my friend with me, my best friend, my colleague. And I was like, pick the books up. And we had to carry them up the street. And then we got in and I was like, 1, 2, 3. And when I got to 26, I was starting to feel ill. I hope all 30 are here. But yeah, we got them home. But they went on a little journey with me. I left them on a bus one time because I don't drive. I left the books on a bus and had to phone Arriva to get the books back.
And did you get them?
Yeah. Nobody wanted them. Work was awful.
No, but out.
Burn them.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah. Train, do you know what? I love a train ride as well. Have you seen just us, before we get into the main bit of the episode, like, have you seen that one which is going around on this morning at the minute about the fella with train cans?
Train cans?
Train cans,
What's
yeah.
that?
So basically, like, he said that, like, as for a man, as you get older, there is less and less time that you will spend with your other male friends.
Yeah.
So in your 20s, you'll go on holidays together. In your 30s and maybe 40s, it'll be stag do's and it'll get less and less and less.
Funerals.
But he said, so you stop having those adventures. So he will never not appreciate train cans, where you'll have train cans with your mates going somewhere, the excitement of it. And he said, which I do agree with, having train cans is better than anything you're going to.
Yes.
Like that little bit of excitement, that little bit of happiness just there. And I think actually, we're going to talk about something else, but I think it's really important teaching that, not just for men, but for women as well, is that fact, like, you put off so much while you're teaching, you sacrifice so many of them times, and you probably put your life on pause a lot rather than having those adventures and that bit of fun and that enjoyment. And I think before we probably dive into what we're going to talk about, like, just that message that, like, if you are giving up stuff, just stop it. Just start going out with your friends more, because as you get older, there's going to be more commitments. There's going to be less times when you are. So just go and enjoy it now.
I love that. Train cans. You just said that. My mouth started to water because I just love it.
Well, you'll be having probably car cans later, won't you?
I'll be having car cans. So I'm going to, everyone, just so you know, if I'm no longer on the podcast after episode, what's that, 8?
8, yeah.
I've fallen and died at the top of Snowdon, which is not going to happen. I've done all the other peaks, but I'm going to go climb Mount Snowdon, and my friend is driving me part of the way there. So I'll be having a couple of in the car, of course. I love train cans or train bottles. And when you said, I used to put off so much. I used to like, I can't do anything until like half term.
Yeah.
Can't do anything until the summer. And I'm quite a sociable person. And then that's what really got to me as well, because you're putting your life on pause, and all of a sudden I was 30.
Yeah.
And then now I'm almost 40 next year. And so, yeah, live your life. You deserve it. You work hard enough to give yourself one evening.
Oh, 100%. Go out during the school week. Enjoy yourself. Have
go clubbing on a Wednesday.
Oh, see, if you're in Liverpool, you go to bongos on a Wednesday.
Oh, bongo bingo on a Wednesday. Yeah. And then get a chippy in the way home. Rock into work on Thursday. No, it would be good. It would be good if you had PE on a Thursday morning and PPA on a Thursday afternoon, because then you could just turn up, PE kit, lounge.
But funny enough, talking about it all, like another stat I have got, so we'll pivot back into that. I think this is going to be an interesting one, because I think a lot of the stuff we've talked about on every episode, we're in very much the same agreement with, and we do the same things. But I know, even though you probably agree with me on it, you don't do this. Like,
no, okay, everyone, this is something that I'm failing at.
So it says here that 51% of education staff say that they experience difficulty sleeping or they have insomnia, and it's linked to work-related stress. Now, I know there's loads of teachers out there that do really suffer with it because they can't get the brain to switch off and everything like that. And it is tough. And I thought we could talk about this podcast about how to get into those good routines. But I do know from the times you text me and then the times I see you up in the morning, like you said before this, that you're getting 6 hours. I think
you're a liar.
I think we're lucky if you're getting 4, because like,
4 good hours sleep. Good. 4, yeah.
I think it's mad, but we've talked about anxiety, we've talked about stress, we've talked about mental health. Sleep is the thing which is going to fix a lot of that. And even though I know, like, just said there, like, you don't get enough sleep, which you definitely don't. Like, I'm a like 8 to 9 hour person a night.
I'm so jealous.
But I've always been like that. But I know, like, when there's times that it was tough and I wasn't getting enough sleep, I'd be absolutely knackered. Like, you're in a good routine with your sleep now at 5 hours. Like, what did your sleep used to be like?
Oh my goodness. So if this is good sleep for me now, like 4 or 5 hours, yeah. I know on this HD video, I don't look like I've not slept. But so let's rewind. I would say from about 2015 to 2020, I was getting 2 or 3 hours a night max.
Makes me feel sick.
Uninterrupted. And the rest would be like turning and whatever and staring at the window and looking at the clock, or like, oh my goodness me. And in my head I go, you're getting up in 3 hours, you're getting up in 2 hours. Oh my goodness, you're getting up in 5 minutes. And I was still like, oh my God, please. I remember one time I woke up 2 minutes before the alarm went off and I was like, oh my God, 2 minutes. Awful. Whereas now I do, my alarm goes off at 5 and I just set one alarm, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, up. And I'm in such a good routine with health and fitness and everything. Now you would think that would be something that I am getting better at it. Obviously now I get 5. Some nights I do get 6. During the holidays, Easter break, I was getting 8. It was fantastic. But back in the day, it was absolutely hideous. And a lot of it did come from my habits during the day. I didn't have a good sleep routine. I had my phone in bed with me, scroll, because I was clawing back time I didn't get for me during the day.
Yeah.
I felt like I deserved to sit up and watch another episode, even though I was desperately dying of needing sleep, because I had no time for myself. So I was flicking the TV on at 10:30 to watch something to catch up on The Apprentice or, you know, whatever it is, Lost, whatever it was I was watching. And that was my time. But then sometimes I would just work to 1:00. I remember looking, and one time it's 1:10, and it wasn't Ofsted, it wasn't anything, it was just a usual week. And I went to bed and woke up. My friend used to pick me up at 7:30, and I rolled out of bed at 7:15, literally brushed my teeth, Lynx Africa, and off I went to work. And that is disgusting. And like, I just can't imagine that. Whereas now I get up at 5 and I have my pre-workout, blah, blah, blah. But I'm up and I've actually got energy. I've got energy like today. I feel good about myself. But back then, and I ran on caffeine. So I would have a coffee before, you know, not before I left the house. That's a lie. I would get in her car and we would drive past McDonald's. and it used to be, I'm just going to get a large latte, 2 espresso shots. And which I would happily pour in. Yay. And I went from there to also getting a, what do you call them? I can't even know what they're called now. A McMuffin?
Yeah, sausage
a McMuffin and a hash brown. I've not had one of them in ages. Oh my goodness. And then we'll get into school. But in my bag, I've already got my Red Bull, not sugar-free, the big one.
Yeah.
And I would leave. I always had it before maths. Don't ask me why. I was like, yes. And I would look forward to this. And then at lunchtime, I'd have a coffee at the start of lunch, a coffee during lunch, so 2 during lunch break, and then make 1 for the classroom for the afternoon. Then I'd have another one after school. Then when I get home, I'd have another. And none of those are decaf. So my body's like constantly looking for its next hit of caffeine. And I'd work all the way through. So I would literally go from my kitchen table. Yours is lovely and clean and tidy. Mine would be covered in like Post-it notes and work and stuff. It was a little area where I would be. And I didn't eat my dinner there at it. Well, it was probably sat on the side. I was eating pizza, tap, 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 mark, mark, mark. And I would literally roll from there, because I was a barrel, to bed. Sometimes I wouldn't even, I'd be that tired I would not get undressed. I would get into bed in my
just
clothes.
In your work clothes?
That I wore to work. Disgusting.
So, just to go off on a tangent here, because this is something I'm finding mad. Now, you come home and would stay in your work clothes.
Yeah.
When you get changed.
No, I don't have time.
That's mad.
Isn't that disgusting?
But like, I just couldn't stay in.
No, I felt like it also kept me in work mode. Whereas, you know, now I work from home on a Friday. No, on a Thursday sometimes. Sometimes on a Friday. Sometimes I go and do supply on a Friday as well. Actually, mostly every week. Book me. So I'm not doing it today, obviously. But let's say it's a Friday I've booked off because I've got Mr. Mac stuff to do. I'll still get dressed as if I'm going to work. Oh, I thought that was you saying that. I thought that was you going, I agree. Because it gets me into the mind frame of it. But it won't be like a shirt or anything. It'll be like, you know, like I'm going on a night out. Because sometimes that does happen. But I'd just stay in those clothes because I just didn't think I had the time. In my head, that was wasted time.
Yeah.
Cooking fresh meals was wasted time. I was always running. I felt behind. And it was so bad. Like when I went home for half-term break, I took stuff out of my suitcase. So I went home to Northern Ireland. Took stuff out of my suitcase so I could bring home my files. And like, and my work laptop. And I would be sitting, working away and trying to get stuff done during the holidays, during like the half-term break. And I remember my mum's like, what's the point of you coming home if you're going to be sat and doing that? And I'm like, well, Ma, I need to keep the not keep the lights on. I need to get it done because I'm the best and this is how I work. And yeah, it was absolutely hideous. I'm surprised I'm still here. I remember my watch telling me one time that my rest and heart rate was I know this is probably inaccurate, but that it was way up in 90s. And I was just sitting on the sofa. And no wonder I had panic attacks. I was running on caffeine. And then like, say if I went out at the weekend, I would have a drink, but I wouldn't just have 1 or 2. I like a drink now. I love a espresso martini if you want to sponsor me. But I had a lot. We're talking, I would have a 70 cl bottle to myself before I went out.
Yeah.
because I didn't sleep, so I'm not in good health anyway. So I didn't look all right.
So you'd have a liter, like a bottle of vodka before you went out.
Yeah. Only because I just needed to G my personality up to be myself.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't there. There was nothing there.
Yeah.
It was I'm being honest with everybody, there was nothing there.
Yeah.
I look back at pictures and I look like I'm smiling. I am probably, but there's nothing behind it. There's no energy at all. Yeah. The last time I remember having lots of energy before I fully went on this wellbeing journey was at my sister's wedding. I loved every minute of it. I was like, yeah, this is great. And I remember being like, oh, I feel like I can get myself back. And then after that, I sunk back again. But it was just constantly running on empty and constantly having a to-do list. So when I did get into bed, fully like in my clothes or whatever, I feel disgusting.
Yeah.
And then I'm worried about tomorrow. I'm trying to sleep. And then, a majority of the time I didn't wear my work clothes to bed. But I've not prepared myself or wound down for bed. I'm like going from, it's like, imagine running. You went for a 5K run and you just fall down the floor and grab a duvet.
Yeah.
You're not gonna wind down for bed at all. And then you're waking up ready to go at it again, but you've reduced the battery. You're borrowing from the next day's energy. So it was on a treadmill. And at that point, it was going to end in complete disaster. And then what happened was lockdown came along and I had to.
Do you think lockdown saved you then?
Lockdown saved my life.
Do you think you would have gone on that health journey if it was
No.
for lockdown?
No, absolutely not. I went on, and even at the start of lockdown, I was still like recording all the videos. I was like, come on, I need to do all this online stuff because I don't want my class to fall behind. And I was doing like the new curriculum and the new EYFS thing came out. So all of this needed doing. And then one day, I remember I was was getting ready to go to work and I was wearing like a XXL shirt. I think I've told this story so many times before. And like it wasn't buttoning on me. And it was the biggest shirt I had. And it was XXL. And I was like, and I remember looking in the mirror going, look what you've done to yourself. Yeah. And as a photograph I've taken of myself on the lift in my building one day.
I've seen that, yeah.
And I'm just like, I took that to remind myself, look what you've done.
Yeah.
Look what you've done to yourself. It was me. I did that to myself because nobody was asking me to do some of these extra things I was doing, but I felt that I had to.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely hideous. And I don't think so. I woke up one day and I saw this thing, hey Keegan, where do I eat? I'm looking for 10 guys to do this. And he helped me look at my habits, address them, and it saved my life. I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. And I think it's obviously like, it's amazing that you changed your life around.
Sorry
like
if that's
that.
triggered anybody, but.
Well, I think.
But that's how bad it was, Martin. It was absolutely awful. And to the point where I was missing family events.
Yeah.
I could have came home for my granddad's 80th birthday party, but I didn't because I had too much to do.
That's it. And don't get me wrong, I do think you were at the very extreme of it. Mm-hmm. But I think there's so many teachers in that same bubble. Do you know, like, don't recognize themselves anymore, who feel stressed, feel anxious. And do you know what I think the worst thing about it is? The job takes so much from you. So the job did all that to you.
Yeah.
But then you don't feel confident. You feel anxious. Mm-hmm. You're not feeling happy.
Yeah.
And there is only one thing in your life that you feel confident in, which is teaching.
Yep.
So what you do, you push all the energy you've got into that thing. And say it's lucky that lockdown come along because you were able to stop. You were able to take that second away. And I am going to guarantee a 23 stone, even though when you are that big, weight does come off quite quick. I'm going to say it probably took a full year for you to feel you might have felt a little bit different inside, but I'm going to say a full year till you were actually like, I feel different.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually did the 3 peaks a year after I joined when we were allowed to get together again. We did the 3 peaks. And oh my goodness, that's when I realized how bad my knees were. Yorkshire 3 peaks. I inhaled a whole pack of ibuprofen. Don't do that. I only had 4 in a row. They were awful, but like, I got to the 3rd one and thought, I can't do this. Yeah. But that was a real turning point for me because I did do it.
Yeah.
I did. And I remember Keegan waited for me at the end. He's like, come on, he's my coach, by the way. You can do this. Come on, get to the top. And I did. Got to the top and I went, I can bloody well do this. Yeah. I've had the energy to walk 10 hours, whatever it is, whereas I barely did 10,000 steps a day before lockdown, which is crazy. And it took me a whole year, like you say. I lost a good bit of weight at that point to actually start to feel good about myself mentally, physically. And then that gave me the momentum to just keep going, to then like address other things that were going on that were affecting my sleep, like taking work home every night, saying yes to everything. I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Answering emails willy-nilly. I had them on my phone. That's gone. I've not had them. Well, I don't have them anymore. But like I don't like my Mr. Mac emails. Like I won't answer those after 4 o'clock.
I think it's so important, and no one expects an email to be answered straight away. I'd be worried if I sent someone an email and they email me right back.
A colleague of mine said that the email that I didn't send her, that someone else did at work, woke her up during the night, and she's been thinking about it all night.
Yeah.
I went, get them off your phone.
I heard a good thing the other day, and I was like, do you know what? I lived by that, but I didn't realize I lived by that. And it's such a good way to do it. So like when I'm working with clients, they have my WhatsApp, and I tell all of them, I will get back to you within 24 hours. But I have a different phone for my work. Mm-hmm. It stays in my office, and I make sure that I chat and talk there. But I was listening to, funny enough, my coach. His name's Dan.
It's not me.
But he helps me with like my business and stuff like that. But I remember I heard him say on a thing, he sees people like, this is like online fitness coaches, say like, 24/7 WhatsApp. I reply to you ASAP. Like I reply super quick. I'm always there for you to message. And he just said, it's such a weird thing because if I'm your client, I don't want a quick reply off you. I want a good one.
Yeah, that's true.
He's like, I would happily wait 24 hours to get a proper reply rather than 5 seconds for yay!
Well done.
Do you know? And I think that's the same with like teaching. If we start to get into that mentality, if someone emails you, they want a good reply. Mm-hmm. So don't look at them at night. Mm-hmm. Don't look at them when you're burnt out and tired at the end of an exhausting day. Instead, set some time at, I don't know, 4 p.m. Every single day, Monday to Friday. Look at your emails then, reply. Mm-hmm. If it's something super urgent, someone will ring you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big one. And there's so much like that in teaching, isn't there? Where it's like, how quick can we do it? Mm-hmm. How busy can we look? Rather than let's do the right thing.
It is the busyness. It's like, yeah, come on, like we're all busy. We're all doing this. And like it spills into things like the summer holidays. Last year, I hadn't seen it for a good long time. Last year was the first year I'd seen so many people in a lot of the summer. Yeah. There was one girl who I seen who actually, I hope she's all right. Because people were starting to comment at the beginning of the summer. I was like, oh, well done, go you.
Yeah.
She moved to a new school. It needed a lot of work. I looked in here and I was like, what in the 1984 is going on? Is that a book? It needed like major overhaul. For me being like a EYFS classroom designer, I was like, that looks vile. It did. And she was doing TikToks and they were getting very popular, but she was in quite a lot. And then I noticed it was August and she was still in there. Yeah. And then we're about to start there. People were actually getting worried, commenting in there saying, I think you need to take some time for you. But like it was last year, I seen a lot of people in during the holidays. You know, you do you, but you're going to burn yourself out before the terms even started.
Well, I'm always grateful. There's certain things I felt lucky with, and you don't realize that you're lucky with it at the time, but then you're like, oh, actually, that is really lucky. So in the school I worked in, our caretaker was really, really adamant about not being in the holidays. So he had an agreement with the head of Inc. of like, he'd come in for what he needed to do, but he wouldn't stay there all day and stuff like that. You know, he had his own child. He wanted to look after them, stuff like that. But because of that, like school holidays, you could go in that 6 weeks in the summer. You could go in the first week and you could go in the last week, but it would be shut for the 4 in the middle.
Love.
Which loads of teachers were like, And sometimes I'd be like, oh,
How am I going to do my lettering?
yeah, you'd be like, oh, I used to go in maybe for a day and do it, but you'd be like, oh, I've got to do it in one of them weeks because I was planning this, planning that.
You weren't in cutting the middle side of your letters anyway.
Never.
He doesn't cut. I found this out earlier. By the way, everyone, come back to this. Martin does not cut the centers out of his letters. What do we think? Comment on this podcast. Let me know.
I don't think I did the display for the last 4 years I was in school.
People just not need to do that. Just do a banner. Anyway, back to the conversation.
Yeah, but because he did that, like we didn't like everyone in school had that routine where they didn't go in. Do you know what I mean?
Which is good.
Which is good, but at the time you're like, oh. But actually looking back, you're like, oh, actually that got me into a good routine. Like, there's all little ones, even going back to sleep and that.
Yeah, what's your sleep routine? So you get, 8 or 9 hours a night?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
What gets you to there? Talk me through from, I don't know, 6 p.m.
6 p.m. So depends on whether so obviously working with teachers, I'm very big on making sure I've got that balance. So to me, I work at night a lot. I always have my cut off the latest to be 8 p.m. So I have calls between 4 and 8. If whether people looking at coming on the program, whether people who are stuck, or just we're having a bit of a catch up. But generally that might be 1, maybe 2 a night between those times. If I'm not working, if I've got all my work done by 6, chill, have my tea, we'll watch a bit of TV. Might go out on I won't say the word, otherwise you'll go nuts, but take the puppy out for a little bit to wind down. If it's a nice night, like hopefully it will be tonight.
I know, look.
It's going to look good. But the big one for me is come 8 o'clock, I've generally watched something on TV that I don't have to think about. So I'm almost winding my brain down already. I watch something like Benidorm, I'll watch YouTube, watch like The In-Betweeners or Commute, something very light-hearted and
Love
fun.
The In-Betweeners.
So good, isn't it?
So good. It's so repeatable. Not on this.
But then 9 p.m, I'm in such a good routine with it that like Seamus gets annoyed if you're up past 9. Like dogs have internal clocks with like when the thingy, he starts like huffing and puffing if he's not in bed for 9. So at 9, I go upstairs and make sure that my phone is the other side of the room. So I do use my phone as an alarm. Make sure it's the other side of the room so that I'm not tempted to like swipe on my phone. It's too far once you're in the bed. Read on my Kindle. Very sad at the minute because my favorite books to read, I know she's not very popular at the minute, Harry Potter, because of everything that's going on.
But the books are still good.
The books are still good. Yeah, she's not quite the same. But what I've discovered is there is people who have wrote their own Harry Potter stories about if different things had happened. A lot of them are weird. A lot of them are very sexual, which I'm not.
I bet they are. Wands galore.
Which I'm not a fan of. But there are some where people have done like proper stories. So there's one guy out there who has wrote stories of if Harry Potter was a twin and the twin is the savior and got to stay in like the wizarding world, and Harry had his normal story, but his mum and dad are alive and that, and they separated him because he might be in danger. But then like coming back, he's on his 4th book now, and he's wrote more words than J.K. Rowling did in her whole series.
Are they free? Or is he charging people? Okay,
free. Yeah, they're not allowed because it's like fanfic. They're allowed to be.
Oh, right.
So you just go on. But you can download them to your Kindle. You email them to yourself. So I just go up and I read them. And I reckon I go up at 9. And at 9, I always think every night I'm not that tired. Because it's, especially now, it's bright, it's light at 9 o'clock. I get in bed, I start reading. After about 10 minutes, my eyes like are that tired hair, that nice tired hair. And I'm like, I've got to put this down, just go straight to sleep.
I love that when your eyes get like that, like they've been, punched.
But it's just one of them for me. It's getting everything ready so that it's just good to go. I don't think about anything kind of when I finish work, whether I finish work at 2 p.m. or I finish work at 8 p.m. I spend a little bit of time getting everything ready for the next day. So I'll write a little list of what I've got to do the next day. I'll make sure everything's ready, get my clothes out, make sure everything's good to go. And then I'll come down, I'll chill, have my tea, go to bed for 9, be normally out by like 9:15.
Love that.
And then I'm up. My alarm's always set for 5:30, but I'm naturally up between 5 and 5:30. But what I do think is interesting is this hasn't happened to me for 5 years. But while I was teaching, I do always love my sleep. Like I've always needed like 8-9 hours a night. But while I was teaching, probably wasn't enough time for me to have 8-9 hours. I was probably on about 6 or 7. Still probably most teachers out there are jealous of it for it. But because of that, I would be super tired. Like I'd get super tired one day a week and I would come home from work at 4:30 and just go to bed.
At 4:30?
Yeah. And I would sleep till 6 a.m. the next morning. Like straight through.
You'd have missed the chase and pointless.
Everything. Missed everything.
Missed
But,
everything.
but I'd feel fine and I'd feel great. I'd feel really refreshed. It'd always be on either Wednesday or Thursday. I'd just literally be like, I can't keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
And I could have fought through it, but I just always go to bed. And on my coaching, I had like a specialist in to do a webinar like years later. And he was talking to all the teachers on it about catch-up sleep. And do you know, it's actually a thing. Like, so what I was doing then, I was catching up on the sleep that I should have been getting during the week. And you can actually do it and catch it up. And I just found it so interesting that like, because I wasn't fighting my body on it and I was just letting it happen, it was catching me up on that sleep. But also the fact that like, since I've left teaching, I have not needed to have a catch-up sleep.
Yeah. Because you've sorted it. Yeah.
But yeah, to me, I think routines are powerful. And there's two things which set up a sleep routine. So if you can sleep well, so it sounds like at the minute, like you're sleeping well, but you can't.
I could sleep much better. Like I've just yawned a couple of seconds going, I'm not tired.
Oh no, but I mean, it sounds like, you're not. Some teachers, like when they're suffering with insomnia, thoughts around the head all the time, probably like what you used to be.
Yeah, I'm at the gym and blah, blah, blah.
It's just that you're living your life more. If you wanted to get more of that routine, the hardest bit is going to bed earlier. So if you have your phone plugged in the other side of the room where you're not going to like swipe on like TikTok and Instagram and everything like that, and you're lying in bed and say you're reading, you just naturally, even if you're up till 12, the next night, get in bed at 9 again, you'll just naturally just start to fall asleep earlier. That to me is a big one. And the other side is if you have got a lot swimming around in your head, like we talked in other podcasts, journal, prep, plan. We pretty much say the same on every episode here because they're the things that you need to do.
Do it. I'll do it with you. Let's do this. When we record again, I'll be like, guess what?
Yeah.
I've got 7 hours sleep.
That's it. Like I would love, like everyone I coach, I'd tell the same. I would love someone to sign up to my coaching and go, oh, like that's the secret thing that he does. You need to eat this food or you need to do that exercise. No. Like someone signs up to my coaching, seems to sign up to anyone's coaching who's good at the job. Like they're going to tell you to get good routines. They're going to tell you to create good habits. They're going to tell you to like really put yourself first.
Yeah. Nail the basics.
That's nailing the basics. That's what gets you there. Coaching works. You'll know from working with Keegan. I've worked with coaches myself with everything. And obviously I help other people with it. It's that thing with it of having that accountability for it, having that person to bounce the ideas off, having them to give you that moral support. That to me is big. But when it comes to stuff like sleep, it's building that routine. It's building that routine and just almost fighting through it at the beginning. Some people are natural sleepers. I am a natural sleeper. Since I've needed.
I think I could be, because I love it. I love getting a good sleep. Like, do you know when I'm at home when it's a break, when it's a holiday, I definitely get my sleep then. Oh my goodness, 100%. But I'm getting up later. I probably get up at 7 or 8 o'clock. And I feel like everything's great. Everything's good at the minute, but I know it could be better because, it probably will help with like muscle repair and like.
Oh, it's there for everything. Repairing your body, for fixing up. Basically,
wrinkles.
The way I look at it is, like, a computer.
Yes.
When you switch a computer off at night or it goes in standby mode, that's what it is when you're sleeping. You're in that standby mode and it gives your body the ability to like focus on healing you. Gives your body the ability to just sort itself out. And the more you get it, the better.
Did they call it, have you ever defragmented your computer?
No.
Okay. You're like, what?
I know we were both computer leads, Sam, but you sound more
He used to be
advanced
ICT lead, everybody. It's when it takes all the files and reorganizes them or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I probably got this wrong, so whatever. And it helps the memory of the computer. It restructures the hard drive or something and frees up memory, but it sorts itself. That's what when you were saying about the computer going into standby, your body's getting a chance and your brain's getting a chance to realign, resort itself for the next day. So you're not waking up like I used to, like, oh my goodness me, another day.
To me, like, it was one of the things, again, something at the start which I was doing by accident, but probably was part of my reason why most of the time I never really got stressed. Why I had the energy to go to the gym. Why I had this? Because even though I wasn't getting it all properly, I was getting all my sleep. And to me, it reduces your stress. It helps you think so much clearer. I was better at like thinking on my feet quickly. Like I was thinking, it would have been so interesting to see you in the classroom when you were kind of like at your worst. Just because even though it sounds like you were putting yourself into everything and your lessons were really creative, I would have loved to have seen as a fly on the wall, like how good you were at thinking on your feet.
Do you know what? I don't think I would have been able to. There was bits I remember that's coming back to me that, like, say for example, a phonics lesson. I know that like the back of my hand. I don't even need to think about it. Well, some days I'm like, what sound is it we're doing today, boys? Because I've forgotten. Oh, yeah, okay. But then, if something went wrong or something happened, I'd be like, I just couldn't. It took me a minute or two. It was almost like, like a record on vinyl skipping.
100%.
I would be like, and then if the class was noisy and everything else was going on, I just didn't have the process. Like, everybody, quiet, stop it.
That's it. And it comes again, not having that sleep, not having those routines, not having those structures. And it's funny with it because I think the human body and mind stuff, it's so interesting with stuff. And when you're in the moment, sometimes you can't see it. Your adrenaline peaks up. Yeah. Like big word of the minute is your cortisol levels and stuff like that. And I think sometimes these words are demonized and everything like that. But in teaching, you're always on. And then if you're going home like you were, you're doing extra work, you're not sleeping, you're constantly in that moment of stress. And stress isn't always like a bad thing. It's just you can't have it all the time. Perfect example is probably this podcast. I am not stressed doing this podcast. Hopefully you're not feeling stressed.
No, I'm not stressed at all.
But, said before, we record 4 episodes back to back. We do one once a month. It's 4 to 5 hours of us just talking and being on the go.
No script,
on the spot.
Ad-libbing.
Now, when we did it last time, just like this time, felt great throughout it. We went out, we went for Italian afterwards. I dropped you off at the train station. I was telling Zach before, Zach who records the episodes for us, stuff like that. I got back to the house and I had one tiny little 5-minute thing to do. I went upstairs to do it. It took me 2 hours. And it was because I was just sitting in the chair, just staring, doing nothing. And again, I remember you text me, like, I'm sure you text me like, oh my God, I just fell asleep on the train. And like, woke
Yes,
up.
I did. I fell asleep on the train and I had a little bottle of Savvy B.
Yeah.
By myself. Because I was like, yay, we did 4 episodes
Little
of the podcast. Train bottle, mini. And because there was nothing else in Marks and Spencer's that I could have bought. And I fell asleep, bottle in hand. But I remember getting home being like, I think I had to like do some, I can't remember what it was. Like you said, it took 4 and I was mentally drained in a good way.
But that's it. It's a good way. But at the same time, like even though we're not stressed by this podcast, we are stressed because we're putting our bodies under a little bit of stress by talking about it. And it's fine. There's not a problem with it. But it's learning from those things. So like tonight, I did all my work yesterday, so I don't have to do anything after this. Do you know what I mean? Everything's ready. And then I've got the weekend to chill and relax, rest, recover. Tonight, just going to chill. I haven't picked the movie yet, but we'll probably just watch a movie on the telly or whatever and just relax. In teaching, the big trouble is super, super stressful day where you're basically given like 5 to 6 presentations to the kids.
Yes.
Then another full job in the night where you're super, super stressed. Then you go to bed, just switched on. You can't settle yourself down. You got so much swirling around in your head. You don't get the rest and then you do it all over again. The adrenaline's pumping. It's keeping you going. But there's going to become a problem with it, which is why you rely on food. It's why you rely on energy drinks. It's why you rely on bad habits. And it's why you've got no motivation to do anything else. Like, forget the gym. Forget exercise and training that way. If you are feeling stressed, if you are feeling burnt out from teaching, if you come in from work, put some trainers on and go out for a walk for 10 minutes, you will come back and feel better.
And I never did that.
And no one's ever doing it.
I didn't even have trainers.
It's that thing. And to me, that's the big one with it. Like, there's so much stress. There's so much strain in life. Teaching is ridiculous for it. And I think it's just about protecting those habits. Like it's journaling. It's watching them. And it's just listening to your body. Like something you said at the very start, you would come in and you would purposely stay up because you had no you time.
Yeah.
And I would love to say I was in such a powerful mindset that didn't even matter to me. I'm just one of these people where when I'm tired, I've got to go to bed.
Which is, I know. And I was exhausted. I'm like, no, this is my time for me. I deserve to sit up to 1 o'clock watching reruns of Desperate Housewives or something because this is what I want to do. I'm exhausted. I would have a cup of coffee probably.
Yeah.
So I can get through it. 3 episodes. Let's go.
But that's the thing with it. And like I always think, if you are one of these people now who's in that mindset where you're like, oh, I've got to stay up. I've got to do it. All you're doing is taking the happiness from the next day. So you're taking that happiness from the next day where you'll have got, say you would have got 3 or 4 hours extra sleep. You would have went to bed at 9, crashed out maybe at 4 like I was doing. The next day, you're going to feel refreshed. You're going to feel good. Everything's going to flow well that day. You're going to feel a little bit better. And I think that's maybe the thing for everyone here. If you're fighting to stay up to have you time, try and go to bed because then the weekend is probably going to be more your you time because you're going to be refreshed and not burnt out.
Yeah.
You're still probably going to be burnt out. It's not going to fix everything.
No.
But it's going to be a little bit better.
There's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. But no, I think probably a good place to stop that episode there. I think we've done well with it. But no, to say sleep, it's vital. And it's also vital for people to leave us 5-star review and to just share this podcast as much as possible. Like
if you don't, I won't sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want that from me?
And you can badger Dan now as well. If you see him up at 5, you can send him messages saying, what time do you go to bed?
Yeah, well, listen, by the time this episode comes out, hopefully I will have, okay, listen to this. I'm making a pact. So let's say I'm getting 6 hours sleep a night at the minute. By the time this episode comes out, I want my average to be up at.
So you got 3 weeks,
Okay, I've got 3 weeks from where I'm doing this today. Well, yeah, I'll look right now and I'll tell you what I slept last night. Fill time until I find it. Let's see. Okay, so last night I got, let's see. Oh, what's it going to be? Where'd I get it? Where? Let me try and find it now. Oh, here we go. I got 5 hours and 40 minutes sleep. Okay. I want my weekly average, so we'll take an average to be 6.5 to 7 hours. Let's give myself a range.
You'll have to plan it out now, though. You'll have to think. You get up at what, 5 or 5? So you got 5 hours there if you're going to bed at 12.
I need to be in bed at 9:30 to be off.
I was going to say, so 10 o'clock to get you 7 hours, but you're never doing that. So you need to be in bed between 9 and half 9.
Okay, this is the challenge. What date is it today? It's the 9th of May. It's going to be May. And okay, when this comes out, we'll see. I'll post it with this episode whenever we're sharing it.
Very good on that. But no, hopefully you've all enjoyed it.
Yep.
We'll see you in about 5 minutes when we record the next one.
Next one's
But
coming.
you'll see it next week.
See you next week.
Bye now.
Bye, everybody.